Welcome, David. Welcome, Allah. Welcome back, our telephone participant. Thanks for joining us. Just if somebody could let me know if you can hear me, just so I can know. Great. So we're going to get started. I'd like to start by thanking HaKadosh Baruch Hu for giving me another opportunity to learn with you. And my name is Eliyahu Hecht, and I'm broadcasting this evening from a remote location known as Brooklyn, New York. I'm also using my Wi-Fi hotspot for my phone, so I'm hoping that we don't have any technical issues. We shouldn't. Everything should go smoothly, God willing, and we'll take it from there. But if something does happen, I'll do my best to get back online quickly, and hopefully it won't be too distracting. I'd also like, of course, to thank Jesse Katz for facilitating such a wonderful forum for learning and sharing and making the Rebbe's lessons and the Nason's lessons accessible to a broad audience that would not have otherwise had access to the beauty of Breslov Chassidut. It really comprises the heart, the soul, and the message of Breslov Chassidut. So just as an introduction not an introduction, but just as a short point that I wanted, a principle from last week and the week before, is the principle that the soul of the Jew goes into galus, goes into an exile. This exile causes the soul anguish and pain to some extent, and the soul cries out when it's in that exile. The purpose of the exile, however, is that the soul is being purified through this experience, even though it's challenging at times. Welcome, Yanko. Thank you for joining us. The soul is going through a purification process by being exposed to the very things that the soul itself can't tolerate, and then overcoming that battle, overcoming those challenges, making qualitative choices about how it wants to live, how it wants to be, what defines it, and as a result of that, that's the purification process that it goes through. And then when the Jewish soul comes out of that galus, it's as if it's a birth, a labor. And we said that the soul cries out 70 times. A woman cries out 70 times before she gives birth. So God willing, all those who are in labor, they should have siyata d'shmaya, that their labor should go smoothly and healthfully for them and their babies. And Kadosh Baruch Hu should guide us all through the Leda, through the birth that our souls are going through right now, of struggling against the challenges of being in an exile, being exposed to spiritually negative forces, and with siyata d'shmaya, with Hashem's help, just like He's helped us in Mitzrayim, we should be zocheh to experience a spiritual birth of a geula. So we're going to get started. This is where we left off last week. This is the idea of having an awakening from above before there's an awakening down below. Now, we explained last time that normally the normal structure that HaKadosh Baruch Hu put into place and that He usually utilizes is that a person, him or herself, has to be the one to reach out and decide they want to make a change. They want to reach out to Hashem. And they have to take that first step, and then Hashem responds to them in kind and helps them. During Yetzias Mitzrayim, Galus Mitzrayim, the Bnei Yisrael were incapable of even making those first steps. And as a result of that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Himself had to restructure that order. Instead of coming from down below and then being responded to from above, just to use the metaphor, Hashem restructured it so that he made the first move, kaviyachol, and the soul of the Jew responded as a result of that. He said that the reason for that was that in order for a person to be receptive, to receive Hashem's light in a constructive way, they need proper kelim, they need the proper vessels. And when a person has been banged and bruised and sometimes even broken during the throes of a gullus, their kelim, their vessels are not complete, they're not whole. They could have a nick here and a hole there and a crack here, and they could be misshaped in a way that maybe even renders them not functional. So as a result of that, if Hashem would have sent down his light at that moment to the Bnei Yisrael, it would not have been beneficial for them. They could not have received it even in a beneficial way. Therefore, Hashem sent down, he didn't wait for them to be misaken their kelim, but he sent down a finished product. He sent down a finished light, one that was not first coming down in an unformatted or unformed way that was waiting to take form within the kelim to which it was received. Rather, Hashem sent down his light in already a finished product, so that there was nothing that Klal Yisrael needed to do on their end other than the initial cry that they made and the dam of the Korban Pesach and a few efforts on their part, but not enough. Hashem himself came and gave them that finished product. And this is what Reb Noson is now saying, is that's what is an awakening in a sense from above versus from below. Shaya b'tzias Mitzrayim canal. That's what happened during Yetzias Mitzrayim. Ki tamid tzrichin l'sakim mekodem hakli shelo. Usually the way it normally works is that a person has to first repair their kelim. And I emphasized this either last time or the time before, that if a person is not feeling connected to Hashem, then they have to not be angry at Hashem. They have to say, am I doing what I need to do to actually be receptive to what Hashem is already trying to send me? So the normal way that it works is a person improves their own kelim, and this is called an awakening from below. Through him making himself more holy and more pure. That's how he fixes his kelim, his kelim that will receive the light of Hashem. And this is an idea of an awakening from below. After that, then they're capable of receiving the light as it comes down from above. Which is when Hashem responds and sends down his light from above. Meaning from above, meaning from a higher spiritual plane. Because then what'll happen is the person's able to form that light that he receives into goodness, benefit, to a beneficial product for him. But at the time when the Bnei Yisrael are coming out of Mitzrayim, they could not conduct themselves in this way, because the Mitzrayim had such a stronghold on them. Not only physically because of the shibud, because of the servitude, but also because of, spiritually speaking. First of all, they were exhausted and they had no menuchas hanefesh, they had no yeshivas hadas, they had no peace of mind to be able to engage themselves in higher spiritual pursuits. But aside from that, the influence, the constant barrage of I'll put it this way, anti-Kedusha forces was overwhelming. It was overwhelming for them. Not all that dissimilar, unfortunately, to today. In today's world, and if Hakadosh Baruch Hu had waited until they were matahir their kelim entirely, until they had done the whole job of fixing their kelim, in order that they should be able to receive the light, they would not have been able to be redeemed at all. Because these forces were holding very strongly to them. Okay, therefore, Hashem did wondrous thing with us. And he rearranged like the natural order of things as he put it in. He rearranged, he made something incredible happen with regard to the whole system. He reworked it temporarily for us. And he conducted himself regarding us not in the natural, meaning the usual way, the guiding principles through which he had already established the world. And what did he do? And therefore he exhibited this by sending down his light in a way that had already been formatted into a bracha. And he did this even though their kelim were not yet completely, probably by far, not purified. Adarabba, he's going to say it also. Adarabba, just the opposite, just on the contrary. Because Hashem sent down this light, and it was already formatted in such a beneficial way for Klal Yisrael, that light had the capacity to subdue and to conquer and to negate the Tumas Mitzrayim, the impurity that the Bnei Yisrael were experiencing in Mitzrayim. The Nitar, Akli Shalahem, the Zachar L'Geula. And their kelim, as a result of this, their kelim were purified and they merited the Geula, the redemption. So, just a quick thought. You might say, okay, well, that was fine for them, but how does that help me? How does that help me use my kelim to get closer to Hashem? Well, a lot of different ways. First is we realize that we have kelim, and there's what we can do as far as fixing these kelim to make us more receptive, to make us better recipients of the bracha that Hashem wants to give us. Just an awareness of that alone can go very far to stop us from doing something we shouldn't, or to encourage us to do something with a more full heart, even if it's something we already are doing. Being aware of things, being aware of our contribution, and to the extent that we do play an active role. That's number one. Number two, if a person feels that they're very distant or that they're not as close as they want to be, I don't think there would be anything wrong with reaching out to Hashem and telling him, Hashem, maybe just like you did to the Bnei Yisrael when they were in Mitzrayim, you sent down your light to them in a way that was already formatted into a bracha. Maybe you could send down that light to me as well, because I also want to get close to you. I also want to be close to you. So these can be part of our personal tefillos, our personal prayers. We do spodidus, we're davening, to reach out to Hashem and to articulate these kinds of thoughts. And I don't see how Hashem, if it's coming from a sincere place, wouldn't respond in a favorable way. And this is what Bilam said to Balak. Remember, Bilam was the one who wanted to curse Klal Yisrael. He was hired. Balak wanted to curse Klal Yisrael. He hired Bilam, who was a prophet, to do the task. Now, Bilam, as we said, was a very unsavory fellow, but he also knew how to manipulate manipulate to the extent that Hashem would allow him to do so, of course, these kochos hanefesh, these spiritual forces. So what he did was he knew that he was a really, really rotten guy, and he figured, I get the light from Hashem. It's unformatted. It's an or pashut. I know this principle. I'll take it. I'll format it however I want, and then I'll be able to attack Klal as well. But what happened? Hashem foiled his plan because he sent down at that moment an already finished light again, just like he did to Bnei Yisrael and Mitzrayim. He sent down an already formatted light. Hine barech lekachti ubeirech lo ashivena. Bilam says, behold, barech lekachti, I came to get a blessing. I took a blessing. Ubeirech, and he blessed. Lo ashivena. I cannot change it. I cannot fool around with that. So what does this mean? As we express and explained before, what it means is that this word barech means that the kamatz means something sealed, something in its pure sense, something like off limits, so to speak, that Hashem's or, his light, when it starts out on the highest level, is an or pashut. It's something we can't relate to. It's a closed book. It is what it is. It's not differentiated for good or bad yet. It is what it is, and it's sealed. It's closed. This is what Bilam was trying to get. So this pasuk, translated a little bit differently with these ideas in mind, is saying, behold, I came to get this unformatted light. But ubeirech, what I got was beirech. He blessed, Hashem blessed, meaning I got the tseirei light, meaning the light had already been formatted into a bracha. And as a result of that, la shivena, there's nothing that I can do to change it. Shagam halekicha, because also the taking, Haya bebechinas barech, was, he wanted it to be that it was something that was unformatted initially. And this is what it says afterwards, lo hibit oven b'Yaakov, there's no flaw in Yaakov, meaning in Klal Yisrael. And he saw nothing wrong in Klal Yisrael. Rashi explains, even when the Bnei Yisrael, on that pasuk, Rashi explains that even when the Bnei Yisrael are sinning before Hashem and doing an aveira, chas v'shalom, einu medaktik achareim, Hashem is not medaktik with regard to them. So this is not a license for somebody to do an aveira, because then certainly if a person does an aveira by saying, well, I know the rule, Hashem is not going to be medaktik with me, Hashem is not going to hold me to the strict letter of the law. So right away that ruins the system. So you can't expect to have full measure of Hashem's compassion if he goes and does an aveira with that in mind at the outset. But if somebody does find themselves in a situation where they are doing the wrong thing, or they cannot, for whatever personal reason, stop themselves, hold themselves back, or prevent it from happening in their estimation, and they're not doing it because they're looking for a loophole, but for whatever their reason, Hashem, Rashi says, Hashem is not medaktik with regard to them, meaning he does not hold them to the strictest letter of the law. Hainu kishi Yisrael chotem, that is when Klal Yisrael sin, chas v'shalom, v'yaz niskalka kleihem. So what does the sin do? What does the sin do? Is the sin just, a bunch of random things that Hashem says, don't do this, don't do that, and then when they do it, Hashem wants to punish them? Not exactly. A sin is the opposite of what Hashem has given us as tools to get closer to him. So when a person does an aveira that the Torah tells us not to do, he's creating distance between himself and Hashem. He does this, according to our lesson, by creating blemishes in the vessels that he has to receive Hashem's life. So Hashem doesn't change. Hashem is still He's immutable. He's conducting himself. He wants to give the bracha to the person, but the person's avera itself is what prevents that person from having access to that bracha. So it's the sin itself that's the biggest problem for the person. And then what happens is this light will be formatted into this broken kli, chas v'shalom, God forbid. It'll be a bad thing for the person. Aval Hashem Yisbarach and B'daktikim Yisrael, but Hashem Yisbarach is not 100% exacting with regard to Klal Yisrael. And it goes way beyond the letter of the law. If there's ever a reason that Hashem could cut somebody slack, he will. And when they fail, when they trip up, and they do an avera, God forbid, that's when Hashem, in a sense, goes the extra mile for us. And rather than sending down the light, which if he sent it down in its current form, with our current kalim would be misshapen, he sends it down in an already shapen form so that it's a bracha for us. And he does this in order that the light should not be rearranged or formatted or shapen into something that's negative. Because of the fact that our kalim are at that moment less than perfect. Yankov asks a question: is it not true that Hashem can cause us to do an avera in order to teach us something or to cause us to do tshuva? Yes, this is a big discussion, and I strongly and firmly believe that Hashem allows certain things to happen for a variety of reasons. We should never go into a situation and say, well, if Hashem doesn't want us to do it, then he'll stop me. And if he doesn't stop me, then he wants me to do it. He's okay with it. Obviously, we're not saying that, God forbid. But what we are saying is that if, chas v'shalom, we're doing tshuva, we're thinking about what we've done throughout the course of whether it's the year, on Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, whether it's the course of the month, Rosh Chodesh, Erev Rosh Chodesh, whether it's during the course of the week, Erev Shabbos, whatever, at the end of the day, at whatever point that a person is finding the time and the capacity to do tshuva, to think about what he did, what he or she has done, at that point, a person will will be able to take what he did. If he discovers that he did something wrong, he'll be able to correct it, to do tshuva on it, and then that negative will become a positive. At that point, yes, at that point, our misdeeds, so to speak, do teach us a lesson and do become a positive force in our life. Not only at that point do the averos that we've done, if we do a tshuva shlema, become wiped away. Not only that, but they actually become zechuyos, mitzvos, as if we did a mitzvah. Now, how do you figure that? I did an avera, I'm getting a mitzvah. Right, because number one, I didn't go into it wanting to do the avera or coming up with an excuse why I did the avera. And once I did the avera, I did a tshuva shleim on it. I resolved not to do it again, and I was sorry that I had done it initially, and I'm doing my best to make sure that it doesn't happen again, etc. All the right things. When I've done a tshuva shlema, then that avera actually becomes a zechus for me. So at that point, one could say that yes, Hashem wanted that person to go through that process because ultimately it brought him much closer than otherwise. Again, not something that we go into initially to try to accomplish because we won't be successful because we're not allowed to take advantage of a principle that way. Hashem Elokavimo. So when getting back to our discussion of Bilam and Balak, when Bilam brought the bad news to Balak that he was unable to curse Bnei Israel, he used a very interesting phrase. He said, Hashem Elokav imo, Hashem, his God or its God, is with him, meaning Yaakov, meaning Klal Yisrael, the nation, right? Why did he say Hashem Elokav imo? Why Elokav? So the name of Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, pronounced Elokim, is a segol. And Bilam was alluding to the fact that Hashem Elokav, meaning Hashem in his already formatted state, is with his nation. He has changed things up, and he is relating to them right now in his finished in a bracha state. Ki tamid Hashem Elokim imam umitzayah. Hashem is always with them, and it's already formatted, kiviyachal, so to speak. Atzmoha or b'bechinas bracha. Hashem himself has formatted his light into a bracha. And this is why he couldn't curse them. Zel bechinas Hashem Elokim, and this is why he alludes to that by saying Hashem Elokim, because the name of Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, when it's pronounced Elokim, the nekuda associated with that name of Hashem is the segel, to indicate, not a segel, a tzere. I misspoke. If I said segel before, I meant to say tzere. The tzere, which means litzaer, which means to form. So Bilam was, by saying Elokav, he was alluding to the fact of the tzere, because when you have Yud Kei Vav Kei, the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, when it's pronounced Elokim, that name of Hashem, the vowel associated with that name of Hashem is the tzere, indicating mitzayer, to be already formatted. Ki Hashem hu b'chinas or pasha, because Hashem is a straight light. Elokim hu b'chinas tzere, but Elokim, Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, when it's pronounced Elokim, that's a formatted manifestation of Hashem's presence in this world. B'chinas siur ha'or, that the light has already been formed. Hainush Hashem Elokim imo, and that's what he was alluding to when he said Hashem, their God, is with them. It's as if Hashem himself formatted that light for good, in order that it shouldn't be formed chas v'shalom in a bad way. Because their kelim were less than perfect, because they had engaged in whatever avera chas v'shalom. And this is what it says afterwards, that God took them out of Mitzrayim. So Bilam was telling them, God took Klal Yisrael out of Mitzrayim. This is very, very interesting. Perish Rashi explains, She'omer leBalak, he was saying to Balak, Ata amarta, you said, Am Yatzim Mitzrayim, a nation has come out of Mitzrayim, implying Sheyatzu me'atzmam. Like Balak said it, and he kind of left out the most important component, meaning Hashem. He said, oh yeah, I heard this nation came out of Mitzrayim, without acknowledging that no, Hashem took them out of Mitzrayim. Hashem is involved in this process. Hashem has identified himself with this nation. Balak refused to say that, and he said, Am Yatzim Mitzrayim, just generically, a nation came out of Mitzrayim. So now Bilam is setting him straight. And Bilam says, Kel Motziam Mitzrayim. You had it wrong, Balak. It wasn't that they came out of Mitzrayim. It's that Hashem took them out of Mitzrayim. Hashem Yisbarach Hotziam v'lo yotzu me'atzmam. Hashem took them out, and they did not come out by themselves. Hainu, that is, Shabalak Amar Sheyotzu me'atzmam. Balak was saying that they came out on their own. Hainu Kefi Tikun HaKli Shalehem Hayagu U'asam. Balak was trying to imply, or believed, that it was because of their Tikkun Akli, that they were able to leave on their own power, their own merit, out of Mitzrayim. And that's what instigated, that's what triggered the Geula. Now, Cain, and therefore, it's possible to be medaktek with them. It's interesting that Reb Noson uses these words that we said before, that Hashem is not medaktek. But now Balak is trying to say, it's possible to be medaktek with them, to be exacting with them. And now to find some blemish in them, in order to grab hold of them, and to ruin them, in order that now then we can turn that light around, God forbid, to a bad, so it'll be a negative for them. In truth, it wasn't that way. I'm going to explain this outside when we're done reading it. But rather, no, Hashem took them out of Mitzrayim. You can never dissociate Hashem from the process of Yetzias Mitzrayim. And you can never dissociate Hashem from the process of Shibud Mitzrayim. Hashem put us in there for our benefit. And Hashem took us out when it was also beneficial for us. Hashem is part and parcel, the makeup of Klal Yisrael. The Hainu, Hashem Yisbarach Ba'atzma Hotziam, when Hashem himself took them out, through an awakening from above, as we described, without them having an awakening from below, he didn't want to wait. He couldn't wait for them to fix their caving down here below, which would have been, an instigation from below. Rather, Hashem took him out of Mitzrayim. The whole thing was orchestrated and conducted and facilitated only by Hashem. He himself formatted that light, Latova, into a good thing, and he brought down that light from above, in the form of a bracha. So just to look back at this for a second, just to encapsulate what we've discussed here so far with regard to this last exchange between Bilam and Balak. Bilam was hired to curse Bnei Yisrael, and he was unable to. Balak thought he would be able to curse Klal Yisrael. Why? What made him think he was able to curse Klal Yisrael? He, meaning Balak, took Hashem out of the picture. Obviously, he did not believe in Hashem, and he wouldn't give Hashem credit for anything that was going on. On the opposite side of that spectrum, you have somebody like Yisro, who was the high priest of every known religion of the time, and yet he acknowledged that there was a Hashem, that Hashem was involved in this process, and right away came to join Klal Yisrael and subjugate himself, to humble himself before Hashem when he realized the truth. But Balak did not have that sincerity, that level of honesty. We've talked about honesty before in other shiurim. He obviously was incapable of doing it. As a result of that, he took Hashem out of the picture. He was trying to rewrite history by saying, oh, there's just this nation that came out of Mitzrayim. Oh, how did they come out? Oh, because they had their own merits. Okay? Well, if they have their own merits, guess what? We can get them. Because if they're working on their own power, if they're working under their own power, that means if we get them to trip up, they won't be meritorious any longer, and we can undermine them. That's the mechanism. Bilam, understanding what really was going on now that he was incapable of cursing them, said, Balak, you have it all wrong. God took them out. Hashem took them out. And as a result of that, we're powerless against them, because what's happening is Hashem is totally in control at the helm. Hashem is providing everything to them in an already finished state, and there's no way that any person can infiltrate that process and stand between them, because they didn't come out of Mitzrayim on their own merit. Hashem himself went down. If that doesn't show you the intense level of love that Hashem has for Klal Yisrael and every Jew alive today, then I don't know what would. Obviously, I think that very much demonstrates Hashem's amazing love for Klal Yisrael to the extent where he didn't care at that point what level they were on. And he didn't expect them to do something, he didn't expect them to do the impossible by fixing their kingdom down here below. He did whatever he needed to do to make sure that we were able to have a geula. And it's all him, all him. Even though there were some things we did at the time, that was in a sense, a token, a pretext on some level for him to then do what he did for us. Yes, we did do certain things, but by and large, the vast majority of it, we didn't really deserve to go out of Mitzrayim at the time. And this is what he's saying. Bilam says, I learned my lesson. I was trying to get the unformatted light so I could switch it around and do terrible things, but I was unable to do so because that's not what's happening. Now, Cain, and therefore, it's totally impossible to curse them under any circumstance. Because this light that they're getting is in such a, it's got if we would use an example of data encryption, this is like, forget about 32-bit, 64-bit encryption. This is a gazillion-bit encryption. There is no way to get anywhere near touching this light that Hashem is giving them. And this is what it talks about when Hashem has an arichas hapayim, meaning he's very, very patient. Hashem yisbarach ma'arichaf ula yashuv. Hashem will wait and wait and wait for a person to tshuva in the hopes and the longing for that person to do tshuva. We'll explain how it's all connected. And this is the idea that Hashem extends his hands to somebody to help them, to receive them, assist them to do tshuva. And we also have the concept of the Kabbalastic Messiah, someone who wants to come and purify themselves. They help him, meaning Shemayim. We say they because Shemayim is a plural word. So to be in sync with that, we say they assist him. We really mean him. We really mean Hashem. Hashem assists somebody who sincerely wants to purify himself and make himself more holy and bring himself closer to Hashem. So we have two concepts. The first concept is Hashem extends his hand as if he's coming out to grab the person and pull him towards him. And the second is that if a person sincerely wants to do tshuva, Hashem will assist that person. Hainu, it's a Gemara in Shabbos. Hainu, kisha adam chote chasu shalom, when a person sins, God forbid, and if the light would come down in the kli that he has, then the light would be formatted into a form that would be not beneficial for the person. So if that's going to be the case, how could this person possibly ever do tshuva? Okay, hold on. Hashem is full of compassion. Tshuva kadma la'olam. And the Gemara tells us that tshuva preceded the creation of the world. So embedded in the principles of the world itself, of the entire physical and spiritual realm, is the idea of tshuva. And it preceded Hashem. It's almost like Hashem created a world, but knew he needed to have certain things in place in order that people, should they go astray, will be able to find their way back to him. And before he even created any molecule in the physical realm or any component in the spiritual realm, he set up the mechanism of tshuva. Therefore, anybody that wants to purify himself, they'll assist him. Any person who wants to do tshuva, as Hashem yisbarach mamshich lav ha'or b'bechinas bracha milmala. Hashem will send down a dose of this brachadika light and help that person do tshuva. Again, he can't send down the unformatted light because the person in his current state won't be able to use it properly because it won't go into kelim that are holding it properly. So what Hashem does is for this person who wants to do tshuva, again, because it's like a Yetzias Mitzrayim for him, just like Hashem did it during Yetzias Mitzrayim, when they weren't able to receive his light in an unformatted way so that it would be beneficial, so too now. A person realizes he's done something and he's distant from Hashem. At that moment, he's not ready for Hashem should just send down the light the way it is. It would not be beneficial for him. What Hashem does for that person at an individual level is format his light and then send it down. So it's a bracha for that person. And this process not only happened during Yetzias Mitzrayim so many years ago, but it's happening every single time a Jew wants to take another step closer to Hashem. Personally, I find this very, very, very encouraging and helpful and instructive about what to do, how to go about it, what things to ask for, what things to look for, how to work on myself, what goals to have in mind, and all of these ideas. And through this, by getting already a prepackaged gift, really, from Hashem, he will be able to become tahor from his tumah. Again, tahor meaning closeness to Hashem. It means purity, but it means closeness also to Hashem. It also means closeness to Hashem. And tumah meaning impurity, but meaning a distance from Hashem, in a simple sense. And this way, he'll be zocha to return. He'll be zocha to make the right steps in the right direction. This is what the Gemara means, says Reb Noson, when it says that someone who wants to do tshuva, that they help him. This is what it means, that a person gets this package, this prepackaged dose of Hashem's light that assists him in ways that his own tools that he has available would be otherwise incapable of doing. This is the help we get. This is what it means, that the help that we get from above. When he merits to return from his sin, this is like it's like a miniature Yetzias Mitzrayim for this person to do. Halavai, first of all, that we should feel like we're in a Mitzrayim when we've done something wrong, God forbid. Halavai, we should be on that level of sensitivity. Say, oh, I can't believe I just spoke Lashon Hara about something. Wow, I feel like I'm in Mitzrayim. But halavai, if we do feel that, we turn around and say, okay, time to start getting to work. Hashem he's waiting for me. He's waiting for me to repair what I did. He's waiting for me, and he's going to give me tools. All I have to do is a step in the right direction as far as wanting to come closer to Hashem, and Hashem will take it from there. He'll give me the light that I need as a beacon, almost as like a homing beacon, that I can, like a lighthouse, showing the course that I need to go. Hashem will do his part, even though I can't receive that light myself in my current state. And this is the idea behind eating matzah. So, on Pesach, we have an idea to eat matzah. Matzah is unleavened bread before it becomes chametz. So a little bit of a deeper understanding of what it means to eat matzah. And we'll finish with this. Why did they have to eat matzah? Why couldn't Moshe Rabbeinu tell them, oh, dough becomes chametz in 18 minutes. So instead of, some people may think that Hashem told them, and then they right away had to run out of Mitzrayim. They didn't even have 18 minutes to let the dough rise. So why didn't Moshe Rabbeinu tell them, okay, you know what? It could be any minute. Go make some bread, so you'll have something to eat in the midbar when we leave, and you'll have it ready. Keep it in the freezer, and when we're ready, you'll grab it and we'll go. Why not? So obviously, there was a reason why, despite all of those great ideas, they could not be eating chametz. There's a reason why they had to be eating only matzah. And it wasn't only because they didn't have enough time. Although the pasuk does say that it was very hurried, and they left in a hurried state because the Yeshua, the salvation of Hashem, comes in an instant. And when that instant comes, a person has to be ready to literally go charging down the street and follow it. That's true. But there was another deeper reason why they had to only eat matzah. Al shum shelo hispik b'tekam shal avoseinu lahachnitz. They didn't have time to let it rise. Ad shenigla alei melech malchei amlachim, until Hashem appeared to them, Kadosh Baruch Hu, ugalam, and redeemed them. Now listen to this. Shenamar v'yocha es hapatek, meaning they baked the dough, meaning they baked it as it was. They didn't let it rise. Ki matzuhu bechinas mochin. Just change the slide. Mochin Gedolin. So Mochin Gedolin, my son helped me with this translation, an expansion of the mind, the capacity to perceive more than the person could previously, to understand, to relate to comprehend on an intellectual level, on an emotionally intellectual level, an expanded awareness. Suddenly everything is super clear to the person. So matzah represents this concept of an expanded mind. Ki matzah batze, because matzah is dough. That they did not allow it to rise. Rak ofenos miyad, they bake it right away. Be'ez shuhu matzah, at the time that it's matzah, kodem shebalidei chimutz, before it has a chance to become chametz. Hainu bechinas hana. This is what our ideas from that we've been discussing till now, from above. Bechinas ha'or haba melmala shu chametz v'sasam. This is the idea of the light that's coming down in a closed state, meaning in its purest state. Shu or pashut shu mitzvah tamid kefi bechinas hakli. The straightforward light that comes down, that always comes down, and always gets formatted into the shape of the kli into which it's being received. And now this is being formatted according to the way it is above, instead of according to the kli down below. So just to paraphrase the idea that we're dealing with here with regard to matzah, because again, we're headed towards Shavuos. We're headed towards an awareness of Hashem, closeness with Hashem, but we also have to understand where we're coming from, where this light initiated from, where it originated. It originated when we were in Mitzrayim. Well, how do we get it? We don't have the capacity to have the light in Mitzrayim. We don't have the kelim. Oh, it's because Hashem already gave us the formatted light. Gotcha. So he didn't rely on our kelim at all. And it wasn't because of our kelim that we got that light. Through the process of leaving Mitzrayim and going towards Har Sinai, and especially once we would receive the Torah, then Hashem is going to restructure the principles that he had and put them back into the original order, which was that we do our part and then he responds. Once he gives us the Torah and we have our mitzvahs and we have the Torah to learn and we have those guiding principles and mitzvahs, etc. Once we have that, now we've got all the information we need to have the awakening from below, and then have Hashem respond to us from above. But even then, we said, when a person sins, God forbid, and blemishes in some way his kelim, all is not lost even then, because if he does want to do tshuva with sincerity, Hashem will once again send down that prepackaged light of his, and help the person. And this, Reb Noson is now saying, is symbolized by the matzah. Why? Because matzah is bread that has not yet had a chance to rise. If anybody has made bread, they know that initially you start out with a ball of dough, and it's pretty much contained as a ball of dough and whatever you've shaped it at that moment. And if you put it into a pan, or you put it into a bowl, or you put it into whatever vessel you put it in, you walk away for a half an hour or whatever it is, you come back, that dough has expanded. It's become chametz. It's risen, and as a result of that, it's taken the shape of that vessel. Now, if the vessel is a nice, smooth, round bowl, then it looks nice. What if the vessel is not so smooth and round? What if the vessel is a misshape? It's hard to get it out. It's cracked. It's oozing out the side. It's all over the place. Then it wouldn't be a very pretty picture at all. So what we were trying to do, and what Hashem wanted us to do, and is symbolized by the matzah, is we stop the process before before that bread, that dough rises and fills the kli into which it was put. We stunt that process, and we say, no, we want it just as it is. Whatever shape it's in now, that's what we want. When Hashem sends down his light in the form of a bracha, we want to say, stop, don't do anything to it. Stop it right the way it is. This is symbolized by the matzah. We're taking something that has a natural process to it of taking a new shape after a period of time, and we're stopping that from happening. That's what we're demonstrating and illustrating by eating matzah. It's going to go a little bit deeper with regard to the concept of matzah, but just as an introduction to paragraph Hey, that we're not going to do tonight, and paragraph above, the idea being that by eating matzah, we were demonstrating and teaching ourselves and relating to the idea that we are getting something that is not waiting for us to format into our own kalim. We are receiving something that is in its own state already. It's in its own state already. And that's Hashem's light when it comes down as a bracha. I'm going to stop here for tonight. And again, I want to thank you for joining me. And I want to wish you hatzlacha and your avodas Hashem. I hope and pray and daven that that the tools that we learn about are helpful and guide you and me as well, and that you use it to go ever higher in your avodas Hashem. And I give you a bracha for a wonderful Shabbos. Thank you for joining me. Have a good Shabbos. Thanks, everybody. All the best.